Today on the Bar Business Podcast, learn the 5-pillar content system bars can use to consistently produce content and drive engagement on TikTok. Discover the conversion system that ties TikTok to your POS so you can see what actually sells, and master why viral doesn't mean cash flow and the ROI metrics that matter. Hello and welcome to the Bar Business Podcast, where we help bar owners increase profits, attract loyal guests, and simplify operations so you can avoid burnout and finally enjoy your life outside of your bar. I'm your host, Chris Schneider, the Bar Business Coach. So today we are talking all about TikTok. And why TikTok? Well, we've talked about social media some. We've talked about Gen Z some. And what do I always say when it comes to Gen Z? They are on TikTok. Facebook ain't going to reach them. Instagram is going to get you somewhat there, but TikTok is really where Gen Z is. So when we're looking at Gen Z, we're looking at some of the difficulty in making them regular guests. We have to meet them where they are, which is TikTok. So we're going to lay out a 5-point system and the metrics you need to measure to make TikTok a valuable resource to bring people into your bar. As I said, we're going to talk through 5 points here, and we'll get to those in a second. But first, I really want to dive in here why viral is not the same as profitable, right? Viral is not the same as profitable. And a lot of times people say, oh my God, this video, it got 1 million views. My bar is going to be packed. Well, let's just back up a second here. Where are those 1 million people? I mean, if you have a bar in Bermuda, are there 1 million people in Bermuda? I don't know. I have no clue how many people live in Bermuda. I don't even know if there are that many people on the island. The point is that Bermuda I just pulled because it's a random place in the middle of the ocean. But regardless of where you are, the chances of everyone being local to you that's seeing you when your video goes viral is like 0, right? So viral doesn't even mean you're hitting your target market. Viral just means people liked your video when it went around the world. Will a viral video with a huge number of views generate business for you? Abso-freaking-lutely. But I look at bar media, social media all the time because I do this in my consulting and whatnot. And I'm telling you right now, I've seen some really great content put out by some bars that are not close to me, and I ain't ever going to go there. I mean, unless they like hired me or something, then maybe I would go there. But I'm never going there for these bars. So viral doesn't even mean you've hit who you need to hit. So how can we actually look at ROI, and is this working? Because virality and profitability are not the same. Now, we need to talk about what is ROI on TikTok. So first thing we're looking at is reach, right? That is virality. How many people view it? That's our reach. But we have to reach you. We have to get you engaged. We have to make you take an action and then visit us and then spend money. And then that goes to our margin, right? So just virality, that's step 1. It doesn't get us through engagement and action and then visiting and then paying. So what KPIs should we track on our TikTok to help us know if this is working? Well, profile views, right? We do want to see if we go viral or not. On that engagement piece, when we reach people, we want to see, are people clicking on a link, right? You should always include a link to your website, a link to something that will give people more information about your bar. And are they clicking it? Now, when it comes to the time we spend on TikTok or Instagram and making videos, right? The cost for us to put out that content is not just an ad spend if we promote it, it's also the time. So if you're paying your employees to do social media, that's part of your cost here. So you need to spend less on your employees than it brings customers in the door. So if you have employees that are generating, again, fantastic virality on your posts, if that's not equaling people coming in the door, you're losing money. So don't optimize your TikTok for views. Optimize it for guests to the extent that you can. Optimize it to the people around your local area so that they come in. Because again, I'm in Indiana. If your bar is in Georgia and I love your TikToks, I'm not coming in this week. If I'm in Georgia, I might come in, but I'm not in Georgia. Now, last thing on kind of understanding this virality and reach and money piece would be this. Every week, have one post that is attached to something you can measure. So that could be a oh, come in and say this word and get this discount. It's a great way to do it. And then the next week, oh, the password for this week is this, and you get this discount. That way you can see who actually knows it. Now, obviously, if you're doing like a password discount thing, or if you're doing a printable coupon, or if you're going, hey, go to fill out this form and get something. However that process is working with your social media, however you design it, yeah, people are going to pass things around, right? So if I give you a coupon that's printable, I can just email the coupon to my buddy and he didn't actually see your social media. But at least now we understand when your social media is actually bringing somebody in the door. Now, that gives us the basis for understanding here, but now I really want to dig into this 5-pillar system. So there are 5 pillars we can follow when it comes to our social media, particularly our TikTok, and making it the most effective and efficient for our business. And I'm going to tell you those pillars real quick, and then we'll go through and we'll break them all down. So pillar A, behind the scenes, trust and authenticity. Pillar B, signature drinks, visual hooks, right? Visual hooks that sell. Pillar C, customer reactions, which is our social proof. Pillar D, seasonal specials, so we create urgency and relevance. And pillar E, staff personalities to build community and loyalty. So let's go through these. Pillar A, behind the scenes. So this is how we're building trust and authenticity. And when I'm saying behind the scenes, I don't mean behind the scenes in how you made your TikTok. I mean behind the scenes in your bar. Show prepping, show batching, show, even cleaning. And you do this, it's very simple. It's a 15 to 30 second cut. You do a hook in the first couple seconds, and you can put in clear voiceovers here. That's always going to work better, but then also use trending audio to help boost these. One thing that I will always remember, I was in a coaching group because, even coaches hire coaches. And I was in a coaching group, and one of the guys there was a very well-known, very well-respected bar owner. And his top performing piece on social media ever was him on his back fixing a cooler or something, I forget what it was, in a suit, because he had been doing something fancy, stopped by the bar, something was broken, he got to fix it. He's laying on the floor in a suit fixing bar equipment. And that was one of his best performing social media posts. So that's the kind of behind the scenes I'm talking about. Now, if you're doing a lot of food, that prep on your food, cooking your food, that's huge. Particularly if you're doing something fun like barbecue, that works very, very well. But keep these short and make sure you have that hook in the first 2 seconds, right? We want something visually that's going to grab people's attention. And so like if it's you as the owner doing some work, like laying on your back, fixing a cooler in a suit, you could just start it with, a screen that says what it's really like to be a bar owner, and then show that and do a voiceover with it. So pillar 2 that we want to show on our social media page, signature drinks. This could also be food, but this is our visual hook, right? We want people to eat and drink through their phones. And something that I think everyone has heard over the years is you eat with your eyes, right? It's what you see that makes a lot of that experience. So we're trying to create a visual hook here. And it can be, you can do the zoom in and out thing. You can do spins. You can do all sorts of things within editing, right? And use AI to do your editing. It's easy. It's quick. Most AI has a bunch of this stuff programmed in it. So it's not that hard to make these videos. So we have our signature cocktail. We have our signature food item there that we're going to push through essentially a visual way to make people thirsty, to make them hungry. And then we want to overlay that with some kind of explanation of what it is. You can do that as just hey, try this flight and show a couple different cocktails if you're doing a cocktail flight or a beer flight. You can have, hey, we talked the other day about secret cocktails. You could have a secret cocktail that comes up and give the recipe. You could show the drink and have your bartender do a voiceover of how to make the cocktail, right? So that people can make it at home. But give them something there that's going to keep them entertained beyond just a picture of a drink or a picture of a plate of food, because that's freaking boring in today's world. What's our third pillar now? It is customer reaction, so social proof. We want to get our customers to post things online, but we can also give permission and post things for our customers on our own page. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you have some signature cocktail, if you have one of these secret drinks, and you throw it out online, with a secret cocktail and then have the recipe there, like we just talked about, okay, that's hopefully going to bring in some people that want to try that cocktail. So if I can get permission from a customer, say, hey, I'm going to give you this cocktail. Do you mind if I take a TikTok of you when you take your first sip so that I can capture your reaction and put it out? If they say no, do it. Right? As long as they don't care and they give you permission, go for it and show those customer reactions as social proof. The other way to get customer reactions as social proof is to give them a hashtag and have them post on their own and then tag you, right? And this works really good if you have like an Instagram wall for people to take pictures against. Our fourth pillar, seasonal specials. Now, seasonal specials are important for two reasons. They create urgency and they create relevance. So think of pumpkin spice, right? We're in the fall, pumpkin spice season. I personally I do not like pumpkin spice at all. I know a lot of people do, so that's all right. But pumpkin spice works really well because we know it's coming every August and we know it's over every, November when we get into Christmas drinks. So you have this limited window. It is relevant because pumpkin spice is the taste of fall, or so I'm told, even though I don't like the taste. I like fall. And it's urgent because if you don't get it by, November, December, whenever people stop their pumpkin spice stuff, you got to wait till next August or September to get something. So use seasonal specials. Now, you can also use shorter term specials, right? Whether that's for a day or a week to help promote yourself on TikTok. Now, usually with TikTok, daily specials are not going to be great because those reels or those TikToks may be seen 2-3 days down the road. So if it's just a special for today, that doesn't really help. But you can always announce your specials ahead of time, particularly when they're tied to a local event, weather, or sports, right? Say that there was, well, because we're getting into fall, say you live in a place that's really well known for leaves, right? And you're going to have a bunch of tourists coming down to look at the leaves. You could easily do a TikTok, say now, as we're getting into leaf season, and say, hey, we're going to have this wonderful cocktail special for October and blah, 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 right? Talk about it, tell people what it is, but it's only for this month. So that's going to get them to come in. Now, another thing you can do on these TikToks is you could do a countdown or a time limited overlay, right? Only in October. Or if it's coming up, like I just mentioned, you could have a countdown clock on that. So they're like, oh, in 5 days, I've got to go there. Also, a thing you can do now when we're talking seasonal, one of the things I mentioned is we can tie into weather. Well, it's real easy to pre-produce a bunch of TikToks to use on a rainy day, right? Rainy days are rainy days. And it can be cold and rainy and warm and rainy, but in a lot of ways, they're the same. So you can pre-produce B-roll and a bank of unpublished content around rainy days and then release them every time you have a rainy day. And that takes us to our fifth pillar of creating TikTok content. And this one is quite frankly my absolute favorite because I think you're going to build community and build loyalty and build regulars in a way greater than the other four things that we've talked about. And that is focusing on staff personalities. So there are a few things you can do. And this is exactly how I would start. The first thing I would do is train all your team, right? When they're doing these to have a consistent on-camera greeting and sign off. So it could be, hey, I'm Chris down here at blah, blah, blah pub. And that could be the intro. And the sign off could be, can't wait to see you come in, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be complex, but you want to keep those consistent across all of these videos. But essentially what you do in the middle there between that intro and outro is you do basically a 30-second interview with your team members. What's their name? What's their favorite drink? What's one pro tip? What's one thing they think that you need to come in and experience? What is their favorite time of year? What do they enjoy about the season you're in? It can be anything, but it's 30 seconds of essentially your team telling about themselves to build a connection with your guests. And that's going to make you seem more personable as a business. It's going to bring people to care more about your business, and it's going to keep people coming in the door. Now, one thing that I see bars screw up all the time. And so we have these 5 pillars, but are we going to utilize them? Well, you need to follow the 70-30 rule. What is the 70-30 rule? 70% entertaining, 30% business focused. That means you need to put out TikToks that you know what? I'm not even mentioning the name of my business. You know what? We're not even telling you about a special, right? Maybe it's just some funny skit that your employees do or some funny thing or just, these getting to know you type posts. That's entertainment. That's not business focused. Focus more on entertaining the people following you than on bringing them in the door, because that's going to help make sure that they're watching your content and connecting to your business. So another piece here I want to mention are the creative drivers of viral success, right? So when we think about what do we need to care about in what proportions as we make these TikToks and these 5 pillars, well, number one's visual appeal, right? That's going to be about 30% of your virality comes through visual appeal. So make it look good. Doesn't have to look perfect, right? We've all scrolled on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We all know these videos don't look perfect, but they need to look good. The second piece is 25% of your virality comes from authenticity. Be authentic, be yourself. If you have your employees on there, please, please, please do not script them. Let them be themselves unless it's a skit, and then let them come up with it. Like, do not hold them back from being authentic. Your next 25% of your virality is going to come from entertainment. You must have something people want to watch. And the final 20% of the virality is going to come from emotional appeal. But the big things are, make sure your video looks good and it's authentic and entertaining. If you do those 3 things, you will create virality. Now, let's talk about a little bit about timing and analytics. So we create this content, how do we put it out there? Well, peak posting times, think about this with me. All of your customers as a bar are pretty much over 21. That means they all work, right? In some states, yeah, you might get some people under 21. That's why I said pretty much. But in general, all of your customers are of working age. They might be in college, a few of them, but most of them are going to be of working age. So when are these people on the internet? Well, in the morning, 8, 9 o'clock, around lunchtime, and in the evening after dinner. That's when people are mostly on the internet. So those are the times you want to put and the times you want to post. In general, what I like to look at is 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., so right in that lunch space, 5 to 7, kind of the after work before dinner, and then 8 to 10 for the late night folks scrolling their phone. So you can post those 3 times. Now, you guys are going to hate that I say this. I want you to post at least 5 times a week. Unless you post regularly, you'll never gain traction, right? Algorithms in social media support posting regularly, and they reward posting regularly. So you want to post at minimum about 5 times a week. I would encourage you, once you get up and running and you have a good social media system, post 2 or 3 times a day. You're not going to overwhelm people. The chances of them seeing 2 of your TikToks in the same day is actually very low. So you're not going to overwhelm them, but post regularly, post often. Now, when you post, what are some things you need to do? Well, you need to reply to your comments, right? Reply to your comments, engage your guests. This is what? Social media. So yeah, you produce the media, but you can't just do half of it. You have to do the media and be social. So that first hour or 2 after you post is generally when you're going to see the most comments and stuff on your post. That's when you need to be ready to engage with your customers, engage with your guests, talk with them, respond to them, build more of that connection. Now, on the analytics side, we want to look at a number of items, but here are the big ones to me, right? Likes and shares, saves. How many people are approving of this? How many people say they enjoy it? How many people are sharing it with other people? That's the one that most people look at the most. But I would actually encourage you to look at a different metric even more, which is video watch time. If your video is 45 seconds long, do people watch all 45 seconds? Do they let it loop and watch it twice, or are they cutting it off in 10 seconds? That's going to give you a really good idea of how engaging your content is. Now, the other thing I would do is when it comes to how you start your videos, right? We all come up with scripts over time. I mean, I'm sure if you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, I basically have scripts that I follow. And I don't really read them anymore so much as they're just in my head. But what you want to do over time is play with your hooks. A hook being the first couple seconds where you're trying to hook in that viewer. A/B test them. See what works and what doesn't. Try different hooks at different times of day. But eventually you're going to figure out, hey, this is what works the best. This is what keeps people entertained. And then just repeat that. Find what works and repeat it. Now, before I let you go today, I want to dive in a little bit on why TikTok. Because I feel like there's going to be a number of you listening to this and you're going to go, TikTok, it's Chinese. It's weird. I don't know anybody that uses it. It's only what the college kids use. Yeah, okay. Some of that's all true. But why do we care about TikTok? Well, 55% of users have said they visited a bar or restaurant after seeing a menu on TikTok. 51% said they dine out more due to the viral content. When we look at TikTok ad spend by other bars and restaurants, right? How much is our industry spending? Well, in 2024, that ad spend increased 40%. And based on 2025 so far, it looks like it's going to increase another 25%. So a lot of restaurant and bar ads are moving to TikTok. There is, or at least there has been reported by a lot of places, a direct TikTok to visit correlation. And that's reported by Cloud Kitchens. They're the ones that put that data together. But it is true, right? If you post on TikTok and you get traction on TikTok, that does increase your visits. Posting cadence, right? We talked about posting cadence already, but make sure you're posting 5+ times a week during peak hours because that is how you get people to watch with TikTok. And I know when we started this, I focused a lot on Gen Z because I feel like that's who we're all trying to target and figure out right now in the industry. But don't forget, 33% of Gen X is on TikTok. Probably half or more of millennials are on TikTok. So you have markets that are older there as well. So you're going to hit everybody on the platform. The ad spending is going up huge. And it, according to the people that use TikTok, does drive their purchasing decisions for food and beverage. So you want to be there. You want to market there. Now, I'm sure you're asking, okay, this all sounds great. You told me how to do it. You laid out the argument for why I need to do it, but how the heck do I do it? Well, let me give you a simple 1-week sprint to implement a TikTok, and let's be honest, this works for Instagram too, system to develop and really supercharge your social media marketing efforts. All right, so 7 days. First day, what I want you to do, choose a hero offer, right? Something that you can put out on TikTok that is going to drive people in. With that offer, you may want to script some staff verbiage around it to give them in the pre-shift and set up a POS button. So the first day, we're going to come up with an offer, set up a POS button, and make the materials to train our staff on it. The second day, I want you to film 5 pieces of content in one day. It's going to be annoying, but you'll be able to do it. But film 1 piece of content for each pillar that we talked about. And to remind you, those pillars are behind the scenes, signatured food and drinks, customer reactions, seasonal specials, and staff personalities. So on day 2 of your 1-week sprint, make all 5 of those videos. On day 3, I want you to schedule posts at peak slots for the next 5 days. Days 4 through 6, those posts are going to start coming out. Respond to them. Track if you're getting people coming in with this offer that you put out there. And then look and say, okay, do I want to supercharge any of this with advertising on TikTok? Then day 7, we've been responding. We've put out a bunch of these posts at this point. We can look at our ROI. How much time did it take us? How much business came in due to this special? And given the discounted rate of the special, how much contribution margin did we get from all those sales? And does that cover the time and money we spent producing the TikToks and promoting the TikToks? So to wrap us all up for the day, viral videos do not pay your bills. Videos that connect to your local market with offers you can track and contribution margins you can understand do. Now, it doesn't mean every TikTok video should have a offer with a trackable contribution margin, but try to do one of those every week or so. Remember those 5 pillars that we discussed to keep your content consistent, on brand, and repeatable? And make sure that you are scheduling your posts, you're paying attention to your analytics, and that you're closing the loop with a POS special or something that's getting entered somewhere so that you understand, is that video creating a guest? That about wraps it up for today. If you enjoyed today's insights, make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a review. If you are ready to take your bar to the next level, schedule a strategy session with me by clicking the link in the show notes below. Until next time, have a great day, and we will talk again later.